Hey friends, it's Mike. It is Saturday, April 2nd, 2022, and I have another Beatles-related video. I am on a roll. Yesterday, a number of people sent me this post from the Wrecking Crew's official Facebook page. The post talks about how the Sgt. Pepper album was recorded utilizing Wrecking Crew personnel, or studio musicians. And if we take a look, the post was put up on April 1st, which was yesterday at 1:42 p.m. And so for everyone that wrote me or messaged me, I explained that there is no way that the Wrecking Crew would ever admit to this. So it was an April Fool's joke. But contained within the April Fool's joke is the truth. And I'm going to give you my opinion here, okay? I don't think there's any way this post would have been put up unless more and more people are questioning the official narrative. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there are those within the music industry that are watching my content, because I find it just a little suspect that this post goes up 2 years to the day after I released my big presentation, Did the Beatles Write All Their Own Music? And in that presentation, and I'll leave the link down below, I explained that the Beatles recorded tracks on their albums, especially between 1962 through 1966, utilized session players, the Wrecking Crew model. And that also extended into the 1967 through 1970 period, the Billy era, although during 67 through 70, we find the Beatles themselves playing on more of the tracks. And as many of you know, my position is, based upon my research, that during the early period, 62 through 66, the Beatles did not play on those recorded tracks. They came in to sing the vocals. And so this post is a play on what I have presented. So let's take a look. Let's read what it has to say. It's the truth hidden in plain sight. It's camouflaged as a prank, as an April Fool's joke. But this scenario, even though it may not have been Wrecking Crew personnel, it may have been studio musicians out of the UK. I have suggested Vic Flick, Big Jim Sullivan, Andy White, Ronnie Verrill, and of course we have Bernard Purdie, who is not British, but who has claimed that he drummed on 21 early Beatle tracks, and Bernard has stood by that claim for 50 years. But in any case, let's read the post. The Secret Capitol Sessions. Paul McCartney always said that the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds album was a big influence on Sgt. Pepper. Well, more of an influence than you think. When they started planning out the album, the Beatles thought, why not use the same musicians that played on the Beach Boys album? Now, this part of the post is factual. The Beach Boys did not play on Pet Sounds. The musicianship on Pet Sounds was the Wrecking Crew. So in early 1967, John, Paul, George, Ringo, and producer George Martin secretly flew to Los Angeles and started recording the album with members of the Wrecking Crew. All of the session players and engineers had to sign a non-disclosure agreement that they would never talk about the session, nor would they receive any credit for playing on it. So the first red flag with this post is, if the Wrecking Crew personnel, the session players, had to sign non-disclosure agreements, why would the Wrecking Crew's official Facebook page break the non-disclosure agreement? It's a logical question, right? Anyway, the post goes on to say that a while back, AFM session sheets were discovered for the Sgt. Pepper sessions at Capitol Studios in Hollywood, where the recording was done. By putting together the info from the sessions, personnel on the album were, and what we're going to get now is a who's who of the Wrecking Crew, aside from the lead vocals, which were John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo. And then the post goes on to say that background vocals were performed by the Ron Hicklin Singers, drums by Hal Blaine and Earl Palmer, the bass by Carol Kay and Joe Osborne, guitars by Tommy Tedesco, Louis Shelton, Barney Kessel, Billy Strange, and Glenn Campbell, the sitar by Mike Deasy, keyboards by Larry Netchell, Don Randy, Mike Melvoin, Mike Rubini, percussion, Emil Richards and Gary L. Coleman. The harp was played by Gail Levant. Strings were performed by the Sid Sharp Strings. Horns by Jim Horn, sax, clarinet, Plas Johnson, sax, Ollie Mitchell, trumpet, Roy Catton. The album was engineered and recorded by Chuck Britz and Bones Howe. The tapes were then taken to London for mixing and mastering. So it's a very clever post, but it is an April Fool's prank. But the thing is, it's the truth hidden in plain sight. This is exactly the model that was used throughout all pop music in the 1960s and the 1970s, and the Beatles were no exception. And so what I will do is leave a link to my big presentation for those that haven't watched it, and you can take a listen for yourself and you can decide for yourself. Everybody have a great day. We will talk soon. Thanks for listening, and the comment section is open.